Greetings and welcome. I'm Kimberly Gunn with Zoomcatchers, also FSWW's Play Reading Series producer. We are super excited to have you all here joining us today for first of many events that we're going to have this fall, celebrating and acknowledging the 50 years, the 50 wonderful years of SFWW, playwriting, artistic excellence. And we are going to be joined by an illustrious, wonderful panel of guests. We're going to be they're going to be sharing their stories. We're going to be talking a lot about what our history has been, who we are, where we're headed. And we're going to be talking about our season opener, Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom, talking about FSWW's online academy, and so much more. We've got all kinds of things planned, and I'm so excited to have our guests here today. First person I want to bring up to the stage and talk to is Byron C. Saunders. I'm going to introduce our wonderful guest, and then we're going to get straight into our presentation today. So Byron C. Saunders, he is no stranger to the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. He's an arts management consultant, actor, director, producer, dramaturg, historian, and so much more. He was raised, he's currently based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm not sure where you were born, Byron, you can tell us that. But he has been working with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop as a consultant and director. He directed Elders Igniting, Many More Stories to Tell, 3 one-act plays. Additionally, Superheroes and Other Men, a play out of New York City area. And he was also production manager for Lambs to Slaughter, also out of the New York City area. Next up, we have John Hayden. John is also no stranger to the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. He has graced the stage in over 60 productions across 3 continents. John, I don't know how you do it, making appearances in more than 30 movies and television projects. A proud native of Atlanta, he earned his degree in CFA drama from Carnegie Mellon University. John also previously served as the last president of AFTRA Atlanta before the merger and was the inaugural co-president of SAG-AFTRA Atlanta. Next up, we have Eric Brooks. Eric, hey, welcome, Eric. Nice to see you. Eric is a dynamic and compelling storyteller, and he has established himself as a versatile force in contemporary theater. As a writer and producer, he brings theatrical visions to fruition through careful project development and strategic collaboration. His work was showcased at the prestigious National Black Theater Festival, and FSWW also has a partnership with the International Black Theater Festival, and those works were in 2017 and 2019. In 2019, he took on dual roles as a producer for the show in the WTFM, while also presenting a featured stage reading of his play To Him, To Her. Additionally, he is currently with the renowned Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, which is us, and he is working with us in partnership with the Atlanta Black Theater Festival. We have a partnership called A Partnership in Play, and we have been working with him to produce When the Fence Falls. We're going to see clips from that, and we're going to hear more about that. Then we have the lovely Adrienne Carlotta. Adrienne is also an Atlanta-based actor. We've got a lot of Atlanta folks here. Y'all are just taking over the stage. She's also an actor, writer, and a competitive ballroom dancer. I did not know that about you, Adrienne. With over 20 years of experience in the performing arts, she recently appeared in Second Time by Jacqueline Clay Chester and previously portrayed Sheila in the Stilettos monologues with Shades of Black Theater. Additional stage credits include Domestic Damages with the New African Grove Theater. She was also in Elders Igniting, Long Time Since Yesterday, I Have a Dream, A Raisin in the Sun, Little Shop of Horrors, Steel Magnolias, The Crucible, The Mousetrap, one of my favorites, The Secrets of Scarlet Ridge, and she's also going to be in the upcoming FSWW season opener, Queen's Opal Walk for Freedom. So welcome, everyone. How are you doing? Applaud. I'll applaud for everybody. Byron, I'm going to hand it off to Byron. He's one of my co-hosts, one of our co-hosts. Byron, why don't you set the stage and take the mic?
Right. Okay. If I go too long, get Sandman to get me off the set. Okay. Anyway, welcome everybody to Frank Silvera Writers Workshop Fall Celebration and Fundraiser. And when we say fundraiser, we're talking about the best Black Friday event of the month of November. We got gifts for you. How many people get a gift on Black Friday? Everybody wants you to spend their money, but we're going to give you a gift. We're going to give you a gift so you can be a part of giving life and birth to a brand new Broadway musical called Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. But before we get to that, I gotta just say, my panel today, me working with Kimberly Gunn, who we've been working with over the last couple of years and enjoying giving readings and directing readings for the workshop, bringing life to these new pieces that are becoming the classics in theater. Because if you know the Frank Silvera story, which we will share with you, that history, that's the important part, so that you understand why we're doing this, what we expect out of our doing a fundraiser. Yes, we are raising $50,000 for 50 years of doing what we're doing, but you got to know the folks who bring the life and bring the breath and bring you the stories each time we're up on the visual scene and the stage, and so that you know where did it get its start from. So somebody like Adrienne Carlotta, she's my favorite Zoom actress. If there's a Zoomie to be a Zoomie Awards instead of the Academy Awards and the Tony Awards, we need to have the Zoomies. Okay, because we've been doing some serious Zoomies work. And I don't even know if Adrienne Carlotta really knows this. That piece that you were doing, which was Yazoo, Mississippi, okay, a farce, okay, a wonderful farce that played in San Antonio this past August after we did the reading back in, was it February, I believe it was?
Yeah.
That play has been nominated for a Broadway World Regional Best Comedy. Okay, we gave birth to that. So this is why the workshop is important. And of course, Adrian was amazing in there playing the roles that she did. And of course, playing next to her was John Hayden, my brother from another mother. Now, I want y'all to take a look. Don't we look alike? I mean, come on, see the resemblance. You see the resemblance. I know I do.
It's uncanny.
It's really uncanny. Mine, of course, if I had a goatee and a beard like John, I'd probably be his twin. But it's okay. I'm a little older than he is. But John has been working with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop since 1990, when I became the executive director for the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. I left Just Us Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, to come run the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop in 89, 91, somewhere back in there, back in the late 20th century, when we both had hair and we had, mine was dark and his was dark. But at that time, John was in New York building and running an IT company called Hayden Technology. So he's not only an amazing actor and talent who has done Broadway shows and working together with over the last 30 some years with as my brother from another mother, but John is no stranger to the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. So we welcome him as well. And then Eric Brooks. Oh my God. Eric Brooks, y'all got to know some story about how we do what we do, and as they say that we do so well, it's because the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop and Eric Brooks became best friends from the International Black Theater Festival. Before it was international, it was just a Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem, for which this year I believe it's celebrating its upcoming 47th anniversary, something like that. So Eric is no stranger, like John, has been doing work, writing work, producing, directing, and yes, and as you can see, he's still a young man, you know. So that gray hair that he's showing you is really just that's makeup, okay? But anyway, Eric has a new play that was featured this year at the Atlanta Black Theater Festival that was at the new performing arts space in Atlanta, which was known as the Sam Jackson LaTanya Richardson Theater on Spelman's campus. I mean, and we, the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop and the Atlanta Black Theater Festival, are now collaborating partners. So we're expanding. This is how we're going to survive and sustain the craziness out of Washington. Everybody knows what's going on in the arts world. And even the Kennedy Center's ticket sales are so bad right now because they don't want to be at the best little whole house in DC. Did I say that? The best little whole house in DC? I'm so sorry.
It's a family show,
It's a
Byron.
family. Oh, okay. It's a family show, but you got to know that's a Broadway show. Remember that? It even became a movie. And whose song came out of that? Dolly Parton's. And yeah, I won't get into the singing right now. Anyway, so that, okay. So we're going to show you a little history first because we really want you to know who Frank Silvera was and who he is to us, how this organization got started, and why is it so important, why we are fundraising, why you need to get your free gift. That's right, the best Black Friday deal in the entire month of November is absolutely yours to have today. We'll tell you all about it, but let's go to the tape and let's see the history of the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop.
That's not the way, BG. You'll bring a whole military machine down on our heads.
Extraordinary actor.
Frank Silvera. Very few ever knew he was black. If you enjoy watching movies and television, I'm sure you recognize this man's face, a phenomenal and extremely versatile actor. This man played every role you can imagine. He appeared in some of Hollywood's biggest films. He guest starred in television's most greatest shows. He was a highly successful black actor in the 50s and the 60s who, because of his light-skinned appearance, transcended race and ethnicity in his performances. Frank Silvera was cast in Latin parts, Native American. He played mostly white roles, and every now and then he would play what he really was, black, and no one ever knew the difference. A little-known fact is that Silvera was the first black man to kiss a white woman in a major Hollywood film, Stanley Kubrick's The Killer's Kiss in 1955.
Campaigner Gordon. Gordon tonight may come as a bitter pill indeed. This was the fight for him to prove his black chin is between native and sterner stuff.
In fact, no other black actor during the 50s and 60s worked more than him in television and film, not even Sidney Poitier. Today, you might compare his body of work to the likes of Sam Jackson. Frank began his career on stage with the Harlem American Negro Theater and with the Actors Studio, studying alongside Marlon Brando and Steve McQueen. He would eventually become the founder of theater companies of his own, including the Theater of Being and the Harlem-based Frank Silvera's Workshop, co-founded with a young Morgan Freeman. It's time to recognize one of the most versatile black actors to ever take the stage and screen. Black History Mini Doc salutes the great Frank Silvera.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, on this beautiful Sunday. I hope it's sunny and gorgeous where you are. And thanks so much for our wonderful panel for being here. I know everyone's busy, they have a lot to do. Now that we've heard from Byron, I want to hear from, let's see, I'm going to just go in the order that you appear on my screen. Miss Adrienne Carlotta. We want to go back and we want to find out a little bit more about you, how you got involved with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, who twisted your arm to be here, and tell us more about yourself, Adrienne.
Okay, well, thank you, Kimberly. As you guys know, I'm Adrienne Carlotta. I've been acting for over 20 years, and I fell in love with the theater actually in high school, and I won't tell my age, but that really wasn't why or when I really started acting. I really started acting when I really wanted to be in Little Shop of Horrors, and I always loved that movie, and and I was so excited. But skipping forward a lot of years, we won't say how many decades, because I did get the opportunity to play back in that play as a musical as an adult, because they needed they needed some cultural diversity. We'll just read between those lines. But you know, I found my way here after auditioning for a play that Byron was directing here in Atlanta, and that was Elders Igniting, and that was such a fun audition. I ended up knowing the guy. He was a grown adult as well, who played my brother. But it was a really fun show, and I just fell in love with the community of FSWW, and just, you know, being able to work with Byron was amazing. And so every time you guys call, I come back. I come back for a lot of different reasons. One, it was kind of like became a family of where I needed to be. I know that sounds weird. And I know as an actor, you know, I said to myself, man, Adrian, what do you get out of doing these reads? As a working actor, there are a lot of things that we can be partnering with, but being able to really see works come to light and being a part of that, even, testing the waters, seeing the works grow, and the writers get the opportunity to hear it for the first or second time, and then bringing it back and seeing how it changes. It's just really a great platform, really, to network, be a part of a community, and also grow as an actor. Byron always ensures that we are actually living the moment and being a part. I've had the opportunity to do Tomaine Poison and obviously Elders Igniting on the stage, but just others as well. So it's been really fun. And I'll say this, and I won't take up too much time, but it has also sparked, being a part of this also sparked my journey as a writer. I've done a lot of songwriting over the years and been a recording artist over the previous decades ago. And so this really brought to the table of also wanting to flourish as a writer. I'd written plays in the past that I never brought to the table. So recently this year, attended one of the screenwriters workshops with FSWW, enjoyed every bit of it, got a pilot out of it that hopefully you all, I'll continue to refine, and hopefully you all will see next year come to light. But just a really great space for writers, for even actors such as myself, to grow and have fun doing it, really elevating the voices of Blacks and African Americans, and as they should be, and keeping theater alive. And I'll end with that. Hopefully I answered all of the questions.
And then some. That was perfect. And we're going to talk more about the FSWW Online Academy. We'll get into more about that, and we'll also hear from Eric. And I do want to go back in time a little bit, because we have FSWW's been around for 50 some odd years, and it started out in New York City, and Garland Thompson Jr., who's not here, he'll be here for the next fundraiser. His father, Garland Thompson Sr., was one of the founders of the organization. And I know John, I'm gonna turn my attention to John, our dear friend John Hayden. I know you have experience with the workshop when it was above the sneaker store, right? The tennis shoe store.
Yes.
So tell us more about that.
Oh, thank you, Kimberly, and everybody. Eric and Adrian and my good friend Byron gave me a call on a landline back in the day, and he said he was in New York City and he had an opportunity for me, and he was always looking for opportunities for his fellow actors and friends, and very supportive of my career. We worked together at this Springer Opera House back in the day. I was an assistant stage manager. Then he had a show that was called Ain't Misbehavin', and it was doing really well. And they had us come to the Springer Opera House, and this was back in 1984, I think, or 82 maybe. Anyways, when he called in 1989, you said it was 90, but I think it was 89.
Yeah.
And he said, you need to come up to Harlem. I said, how far up? And he told me,
Good answer.
125th Street. And I said, okay, that's not too far up. So I remember making it down the way, and it was near the big famous theater in Harlem. And it was near the shoe store. And this door was really old, and it was not well lit. And I climbed the stairs, and Byron was there, and Garland was there, and some of these other actor types were there. And I knew immediately that I was in a good space. And he brought me on as assistant stage manager there for a couple of the productions. I don't remember the titles, but they were provocative, thought-evoking, and of the moment and of the times that we were living in. It was the Ed Koch era in New York City, and crime was pretty bad, and we had the trash strike, and we had all kinds of things. But it was a place. I found a little place that was creating art, and it was important. And if Byron was doing it, I was going to be a part of it, because we've had that kind of a symbiotic relationship along the way. And it's been your highs, your lows, your ups, your downs. We've made some money, we've lost some money, but we've always had a good time. And it was particularly with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop lately, we got started in the pandemic. It was a show called Simon Says. Byron Playbill actually produced it, and we actually were in a festival of other plays, and it went really well. And we did, he mentioned Yazoo, Mississippi. We did in Elders Igniting, I did Move the Car. And then It Takes a Village, another one of our shows. I don't know, I'm missing a few, but we've done about 8 or 9 of them in the past 5 years. And we found this little box to be kind of interesting to play in. And we've, with Kimberly and her expertise, put together some fun stuff. And we've got one show that we just performed, Social Insecurity, which is going to launch, hopefully, a long run for us. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm pleased to be a part of this, and I'm just thankful for the work. Things have slowed down in film and TV here in Georgia. We had a lot of projects go to the United Kingdom and to Australia. The level of auditions is definitely leveled off. I am fortunate I'll be opening up season 4 in January of Will Trent, the popular ABC show. I have a co-starring role in that. So things are good, and we're just happy to have the work that we have.
And, oh, by the way, for those who would like to see how far he takes his work, John is in Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. He gets to play President Joe Biden in this play. So he goes from the used car salesman and
the mayor of Yazoo, Mississippi.
The mayor of Yazoo, Mississippi.
The president of the United States. Yeah.
Yes, the president of the United States. So you can see it can be done right here at the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. So thank you, John. All right.
We see the trajectory.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. And before we get to Eric, because we do want to hear from Eric, I do want to just show a video. This will be, let's see, this is going to be featuring Garland Thompson Jr., and he's going to be telling us a story about Garland Thompson Sr. So let's get this going.
Camera is set. And action.
This poem is called Ensign, Hand Me Your Phaser, a.k.a. If He Only Knew. Click. 1965 roadhogs and roadkill crazy kids in hot rods prowling desert California roads. A big bosom blonde throws a beer can out of a souped-up 64 Corvette her boyfriend drives 100 miles per hour. 16-year-old Tina hears the rock and roll. Gang leader Duke wants Tina. Tina wants Duke, but not in the back seat. You see, she's a virgin. Click. Perry Mason and the Easy Stripper Plus. Click. For only $19.95, you too can own Apollo Home Movies. Click. Disaster Chronicles? Click. It's 3 a.m. and I'm thinking about my dad when the TV, my thumb, and the remote control finally reach agreement where space is the final frontier. In 1965, Dad was 27, I was 3, and Mom was gone. Single parent, black actor in the 60s. He worked hard to pay the bills, all the while nurturing a dream of a career in the theater that eventually would become larger than life. Still in all, work was work, and one day Dad came home with a smile on his face. He'd gotten a job on a television series, a bit part, sure, but one with promise. The producers liked him. It was only the 5th episode, and nothing was written in stone. Adventure hung thick in the air. The show was called Star Trek. Now, today, that would be a big deal, right? But back then, who knew? It was a Western in space, seeking to deal with the social issues of the day, not to mention present a vision of a multiracial future, and no one expected it to last, least of all, my father, who, as Ensign Wilson, was responsible for beaming people around the ship, getting into as many shots as the director would let him get away with, and to get his ass kicked by the captain's evil half in the obligatory fight scene. He did this to perfection. So well, in fact, they hired him again. Things were looking good in Tinseltown for the old man, though he knew the bottom could fall out any time. Such was his thinking when the casting director called him in to do a 3rd episode. You see, in the time since they had last seen him, he had grown these sideburns, these mondo bushy, way cooler than Elvis pork chops that stopped somewhere near the corners of his mouth. He was very proud of them, and they would have to go if he wanted to do the next episode. He protested. They gave him an ultimatum. Lose the facial hair or lose the job. He lost the job. Forever. He and I have since talked about that time in his life and what he would do different. We both agree that if he could go back and do it again, the chop's gone in a heartbeat. But, as we all know, hindsight is 20/20, and in 1965, Dad just couldn't see the 24th century. Sometimes when I'm channel surfing late at night, I'll run across an old episode and stop to watch for a while. I'll look at Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, Scotty, Sulu, Chekhov, and a strange urge will come over me to pick up the phone and dial. Hello? You know, Dad, I bet you could have been. Ooh.
So who knew that FSWW's origins are rooted in one of the most popular TV franchises of all time? Before we get to Eric, and we're also joined by Walter Bland. We'll introduce Walter in a second, but before we get to Eric and Walter, Byron, I don't know if you wanted to make any comments about Garland Sr. He's no longer with us. He passed away in 2018, but we'd love to hear just some reflections, please.
I was watching one of my favorite all-time movies because it was the first play that I was ever in high school in 1968. I was going to a all-boys military Catholic high school in Washington, D.C. called St. John's Military. Very prestigious. And the play, the musical, the movie was South Pacific, Now I was watching on Turner Classic Movies. This was like maybe a couple months ago, and they were playing it. Needless to say, when I was in college, we actually studied South Pacific as one of the quintessential moments when Broadway became integrated. A story about a love story about a white male, military naval officer falling in love with the wonderful, lovely Leah, from the island, where she was protecting, what's her name, Bloody Mary. Okay, but like most of us in the business, we are prone to watch the film at the end, and as the credits are rolling, you want to see who was in there. Now, mind you, I never knew this. And as the credits were rolling, I saw the name Garland Thompson. And I said, wait a minute. Garland Thompson? Now, how many Garland Thompsons are you going to know? Okay. Garland Thompson was in that movie of South Pacific. One of the only two Black guys in the movie. And you realize then the legacy being that I learned and the history that was hitting me. And I got immediately called up Garland Jr. I said, Garland, this was like a couple months ago. Kimberly may remember this. I said, you didn't tell me your dad was in South Pacific? Okay. I mean, so it's understanding who these people are, because when you're talking about the legacy of African Americans in the entertainment industry, that piece that you just saw about Star Trek, how many people really remember that and know that? So that when you're talking about 50 years of a legacy of an organization created by the young Morgan Freeman, created by folks who were part of that, Gretchen Cryer, who was a dear friend, John Cryer's mom. Yes, those are the people who were part of the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. And to this day, everybody you have seen on screen that you think that you knew, there's a star that came out from Ruby and Ozzy to Mary Alice, to you name it, Anthony Chisholm, all of them would come to the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop on a Monday, because in New York, that's when we were able to do the readings. And when you were in a reading at the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, in the audience, and which was only 40 seats at the top of that tennis shoe store, there would be producers and directors, and would be given, seeing these noted actors and actresses portraying new plays that would become the classics of African American theater. And because they were seen in those roles, they were always given first right of refusal. That meaning that they had an opportunity to move it from the page, like Garland Sr. would say, from the page to the stage. And that's the importance of the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. And all of us, including myself, because when I was running Just Us Theater, and I have to tell you, I was on the Georgia Film Commission for 7 years. Me, Georgia Allen, and Lou Walker, the only 3 Black people on the Georgia Film Commission. And look what it is today. But look what we're talking about right here at the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, which is why we're holding this fundraising event during this month, because we have something so incredible and important and special that the readings that we're creating now are taking it to the next level, from the page to the stage to the market, where the money is made. And one of the things we'll say about Frank Silvera Writers Workshop that I don't know about the other actors and the other theaters who have borrowed our technique that are using it, is that Frank Silvera pays its actors. Do y'all hear me? We're not taking advantage of the greatness of these talents. They get a little stipend. It ain't a lot, because that little $30, $50, whatever we're giving, it pays for a lot of different things that an actor really needs to sustain and survive in this industry. And that's why we're here, so that we hope that you are able to show us some love. Give us that love offering when we get to that part, because right now we got money that people have already donated. We'll look at the tote board later. We got over 100 people who have already signed up for the reading of Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. And then, of course, we got Eric Brooks here, whose play is coming up next in January during Black Martin Luther King's birthday. And his play, folks, talks about that period of Martin Luther King's greatness with the other folks who were there, Stokely Carmichael, H. Rod Brown, you name it. These are the folks you need to understand it. So when we're talking about banning books, closing down shows, not being able to tell our story, we tell our story. If not us, ain't nobody else will. That's why we're here. And then there's Walter Bland Jr. Now, Walter Bland is in his own right, he's only 25 years old, lie, but he's been doing this for as long as, I mean, Walter and I go way, way back as well. And he's got some amazing, amazing pieces for which he'll tell you about, including the opening song to our piece that we're doing on November 30th, 4 p.m. Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom, Eastern Standard Time, is free to the public. His music, the opening piece is called Are You Ready? And it's already in rotation on Pandora's music platform. That's what we're talking about. Okay? You don't have to wait for it to hear it later. So I'm going to stop here because I want to hear Eric's story. Eric's story is amazing.
100%. And I'm looking forward to introducing Eric. But we will talk about our partnership with the Atlanta Black Theater Festival. And this is how we came to know Eric, or actually work closer with him, because Eric, you've been around. You were also involved in the National Black Theater Festival, as I had mentioned earlier. But the Atlantic Black Theater Festival and FSWW, we inked a deal. We have a partnership. It's called a Partnership in Play. And the goal is the program emphasizes hands-on craft development, mentorship, and industry exposure for emerging and mid-career writers. And by centering artists from underrepresented communities, the partners aim to strengthen the pipeline in dramatic writing and help more stories reach the stage and screen. And so what we were working on, let me just show the slide there, is When the Fence Falls. And that was at this last festival with the Atlanta Black Theater Festival this past August. I have a clip of this piece. This is a piece, I know, Byron, I know you've seen the piece, but it's a very a telling period about a very dramatic and volatile time in America's history. And we have a group of people, activists / young people, that are trying to look at how they're going to handle the assassination of MLK and what they might be able to do. So I'm just show this clip, okay?
Okay, let it roll.
Let it roll.
Wait, who the hell do you think you're talking to? Do you have a problem with me? You know, I'm tired of you slow-ass black people wasting my time. Well, it's time to start the revolution. Write our names down in history. And I don't need Reggie to lead me in the battle.
That doesn't make you a good leader. Reggie showed you how to fight the man, and he made the people who were afraid of you start helping you. He gave us new ideas that made us proud to be black.
But that's why I'm ready to show the people what I believe in.
What do you believe in?
You see, I believe that black folks should have at least 3 states in this country. And that whitey should just stay in his own neighborhood. And we should just remain in ours.
It's just not right for Dr. King to be dead. He never caused any violence. All he ever wanted was peace.
Poncho, I've been in this fight as long as you have. I've marched in the street and gone to jail. That was all for the black cause, as you say. I've been spat on while sitting at lunch counters. I am so sick of people like you wanting to question my blackness. I don't have to prove myself to you or anyone else.
Well, we could just sit around here singing these good old Negro spirituals, just pretending that Dr. King had all the answers. Hell, none of us got the answers. What are you talking about? Look, I can read. Now, maybe your college learning to help you in those sundown towns, but not in these streets.
I'm better than you, and besides, you can't get over the fact that I've been hanging out with Reggie.
Look, I don't care who you laying up with.
And it looks like it's going to be one of those long, hot summers again. No one will have any peace.
This time, I don't think there will be much left of our community. Look how it's burning, and no one gives a damn.
Some of us give a damn, but some of us don't. But that piece was, like I said before, it was featured at this last Atlantic Black Theater Festival, and we worked with Eric. We worked with Eric for about 2 or 3 months. Had a wonderful time working, myself and Garland Thompson Jr. worked with him, and we provided mentorship, and we went through the script line by line and really talked through a lot of what was going on with the script and getting the script into a great place. And so we had a wonderful time working with Eric. Eric also was able to participate in one of FSWW's online workshops with Christiana. So take it away, Eric. Tell us more about yourself and your experiences and your play. Tell us more about yourself, Eric.
My name is Eric Brooks. I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm still currently living here, but I've spent quite a bit of time now in Atlanta. I came about working with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop while I was in Houston. I was sitting talking with Miss Tony, who's the executive director of the Atlanta Black Theater Festival, and Andre Meekins. And Miss Tony mentioned that she needed a play to partner with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. And Andre said, well, why not take your play, Eric? I think it's good, and I think it'll be something that will be worthwhile. So I agreed to be, I guess, as they would say, the first guinea pig with this, but I ended up enjoying it immensely. The first time I met with Garland and Miss Kim, I was kind of nervous because I wasn't sure what to expect, and I wasn't sure what we were going to be workshopping and how that was going to work. But from the first meeting to the last meeting, I enjoyed it immensely. I mean, I learned so much as a writer, and I learned so much about my work, because you can have a good work, but with the right people and the right encouragement, it can be so much better. And like I said, I thank Miss Kim and Mr. Garland for the time and energy that they put into me. And yes, I had plenty of homework after each session, and I made sure that I was prepared when I had my meetings with them. So like I say, it was an eye-opening experience for me, and I would suggest that any writer out there that wants to take their writing to the next level, that they need to take a workshop. And the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop is I mean, words don't even express how I feel about it. And she was mentioning the other workshop I was with Christiana, and that one blew me away also, because it allowed me to explore some other projects that I've been working on, and with her guidance and her encouragement, I feel like my writing has gone from 30% to 90%. I like to leave a little room in there, so there's always room for improvement. And like I say, this has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. And like I said, I thank the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop for the opportunity.
Eric, it's been an honor and a pleasure to see your work come along in the manner in which it has, because that's what we do. We incubate here. It's a safe home. It's a safe place, because you don't want your play to be up on the stage and being witnessed by the public and then get chopped up by critics who don't understand what we're talking about. But in this process, you get to work out the kinks. You get the comments from the audiences giving you constructive criticism. You're not here to tear down the writer. We're here to build you up from page to stage to the market. And I was born in Nashville, Tennessee. So homie, come on, don't you know me? We're from the Bigfoot country, as my dad used to say, from Tennessee. Okay? Yeah. And my sister, who wrote a song that's being featured in Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom, Leslie M. Saunders, was the head of the Memphis Diversity Institute back in the day. I actually interviewed for the director of the Lorraine Motel.
Okay.
Okay, so we got something in common, and I still got folks in Memphis. Okay, so
that is great. That is great.
There you go. And
I've been around the Lorraine Motel quite a bit over the past few years.
And anybody who goes to Memphis and you don't want to see what the Ducks actually walk to the elevator and right up to the top, They still do it down there in Memphis. And while you're on Beale Street, why don't you get some of that funky barbecue that's still down there? You know what I'm talking about? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's nice to have and see your growth of your story, because to all of us in our community, especially people of color, there's in your house, there's always two pictures, maybe three. Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, and of course, Jesus Christ. Okay? And if those pictures are not there, the Ebony Jet magazines is somewhere in the corner, still on the coffee table to remind you that you're in that kind of a place and a space. But we have to tell that story, the dynamics of what happened back in 1968 at Lorraine Hotel. And I worked with Hosea Williams, who was on that balcony. Okay. And of course, Jesse is another friend, and my other dear friend, Andy Young, to have them tell you personally what they felt that day, it still resonates in my brain. It's still in my soul and my spirit. And every April 4th, I'm always tuned in to the Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration. I was there for the first celebration of the national holiday. And it's always going to be there with me, because that's where my spirit is. And I worked with SCLC, Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown, Marion Barry. I was in high school at that time in 1968. And I remember when they came to Washington, D.C., I was running, like I told y'all, I was in an all Catholic military school for high school. And I was the president of the Black Student Union at my high school. I have 65 Black students out of 300, 400 white boys, okay? So, but they called a national city conference of all the Black Student Union presidents and vice presidents to come downtown to Washington, D.C. for a national meeting, a citywide meeting. And at that meeting, Stokely, H. Rap, and Marion Barry. And so if you know those names, and if you don't know those names, it's because they're not teaching you those names. They're not giving you our stories. You get history from our plays. Jose Williams told me and Elizabeth Omalami one day, we had been doing some shows in Black theater in Atlanta, trying to start a Black theater company called People Survival Theater. And he said, Liz, Byron, I don't know why y'all do theater that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He said, you take one play, one story from the civil rights movement, and you will have a hit for the rest of your life. And I'll tell you right now, every play, every movie, every story that's ever won an award, you go back and you'll find the roots of that story are about the civil rights movement. And Eric, you're doing that. You're bringing that story back to us so that we never forget. So thank you for being a part of this. And we're going to continue to work with you so that we get you from the page to the stage to the market. That's why we're doing this, indeed. So
thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Byron, and thank you, Eric, and thanks everyone who is here. We really appreciate it. We are talking about who we are. We are FSWW and the works that we've been doing over the past 50 years, sharing stories, looking at highlights, talking to new playwrights. I do want to bring in our friend Walter Bland, and we're going to be talking about Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom in just a few. Walter, how are you doing, sir? Walter, let me just introduce you before you start speaking. We're here with Walter Bland Jr., and he is the composer of Byron and John mentioned Social Insecurity, a production that Zoomcatchers produced for the Rogue Theater Festival. And Walter provided us with wonderful music. He studied at the Emerson College, Berklee College of Music, and the Springfield Conservatory of Music in Massachusetts. His accomplishments include work with Steve Hemingway, the first Black writer in television history for CBS Playhouse 90, wherein Bland composed the music for his show Brother Love, the first African-American sitcom produced by African-Americans. Walter also wrote the music for the first Black news programs, fittingly called Black News on Channel 7. Additionally, he composed the soundtrack for the hit HBO television series Oz, and Walter is the musical genius behind the music for Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. So Walter, tell us a little bit more about yourself. How you doing today?
I'm just working till my head falls off on this Queen Opal's walk, because it is you got to put a lot into it because to my knowledge, she's the only black woman who got a national holiday on the books in America, as far as that's concerned. And it's so important, her story, because of the fact that the whole Juneteenth thing, which has to do with, freeing us 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, and the fact that she walked from Texas to Washington, D.C. to get that done. And I was in Atlanta for a number of years, working on different things. And then I have a relative, John Gales Jr., who, he said, well, I'm going to come to Texas and we'll work on some things. And it turns out he was very good friends with Opal Lee. And so when I got there, he took me by her house and I got to know each other. And I said, it's time for us to do something about this. Like, how about a musical? That would be great. Because musicals last for a long time. And my philosophy is that you have to tell our stories through theater and film and dance. And my first cousin, he was one of Michael Jackson's publicists for 35 years, and he and Stokely Carmichael were partners in terms of a lot of great work they did in helping Liberia. And that same cousin started the first all-black camera crew for NBC when we weren't in that kind of position. And his brother was a black man who brought punk rock to America, Richard Alexander. And so that's the family that I came up with in terms of when you come home, they would ask you, well, what are you doing? And they didn't mean, well, I just got a new car. It was always about, what are you doing to impact other people, particularly our people? So you had to have something to talk about when you got home, or else you might get a slap upside the head, And in my family, you don't talk about being a banker or something like that, because that's another slap upside the head, because we were all artists. My grandmother was a painter. In fact, when she was painting, Norman Rockwell wrote to her and told her not to take lessons because she had her own natural style. And she played guitar and piano and actually got all of us into the arts because we were an artist family. So that's what happened. And my sister is a fashion designer. She designed some things for Calvin Klein and a number of other things. So it's all the arts, couldn't escape it. So here I am with you all other crazy artists like myself, and we're making the move on this Opal Lee project, which is so important. And I'm also working on the Shirley Chisholm musical, which I've done. I've been working with Mona Von Scott of the Berkeley Black Repertory Theater Company. So that's been performed before and it's going to be performed again. But we can tell our stories through the arts, and it lasts a long time, because when you think about all the musicals and even a lot of the animated movies, all the people from them, a lot of them are not here anymore, but the projects are still going. And the important thing about this whole Opal Lee project is that Opal Lee is still alive. She's 99 years old and still alive. So it's important to tell the story and put it out there while she's still here with us. And she's such a dynamic person. She doesn't have any confusion when it comes to her mental facilities. She's an incredible, incredible person, and got a big heart, and is very much dedicated to the forward motion of our people in this whole movement, and especially in the times that we're living. And her story and her whole thing is so important. Gives the people something to hang on to, to move forward. When I was
Walter, yeah, because Walter, one of the things that I want to share your connection to with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop and how important these links. These are not just by happenstance. My pastor, A.R. Bernard at CCC Church in Brooklyn, New York, said in a sermon, he says, there's no such things as accidents. Just doesn't happen. Everything is in divine order. So the divine order of your relationship to the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop actually started before this project because you actually had a reading of one of your shows in the tennis above the tennis shoe store back when I first came to New York to run the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. Walter wrote a story called Quizzle. Now, y'all be on the lookout. You think you know animation? Y'all don't know stories about animation that is absolutely phenomenal. That's how far back Walter and I go, because he brought this story to me when I was running Just Us Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. And I said, Walter, there's no way I can do this. It'll break my budget. I can't afford to just the technical side of doing this. So I said, why don't we create it as an animated story? And we translated it to an animated script. It still has not been done yet, got very close to being produced, and had some of the top Black actors who signed on to be a part of it. James Earl Jones signed on, Eartha Kitt, the sister from The Color Purple, people from, I mean, yeah, Ozzy, we had even Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder signed on to be a part of this. And when I went to run the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop in New York, Walter gave it to me then. We had a reading of it in the workshop above the tennis shoe store. And who was there as part of the musicians that signed on to it? Najee himself brought his saxophone, played on that stage above the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop for the reading. And then that was the first time. And then we're back to this because it was Walter Bland who contacted and commissioned, contacted me to commission me and Dr. Janice Lydell, who is the writer of Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom, as well as the producer and the play that Adrian was in, Senior Prom, that was part of Elders Igniting, and then Ptomaine Poison, that's another one of Janice, Dr. Lydell's presentations. But it was at the Black Theater Festival in 2024. I was working as a consultant here in Winston-Salem with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, which is where I now reside. And I got a call that morning. I think it must have been about 11 o'clock that morning or 12, somewhere in there. And I'm up on the second floor here at the Marriott Motel because the festival was in full bloom. Now, if y'all have never been to the Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem, it's Wakanda. Come, please. You will not be disappointed. Even John Hayden came to the festival and performed with us. So that's what I'm telling you. He's been with us all this time. But this is the links and the connections. That call from Fort Worth, Texas, that August, was me and my sister on the Zoom call with Opal, her granddaughter, Walter, John Gales. There must have been 9 people who were sitting in there. And I'm 10 feet away from the table at the festival at the where the workshop usually holds its situation. And even Eric has been there. He knows what I'm talking about. Second floor of the Marriott Hotel, And so there I am having this Zoom call with these folks in Fort Worth, Texas, trying to lure me to come to Fort Worth, to come and be a part of their telling this musical. And it was at that moment that I realized really this was something extraordinary. And from that moment, a year ago, August, to a year ago, November, come November 14th, a year ago, they flew me and Dr. Janice Lydell to Fort Worth, Texas, to be with Opal Lee, Dr. Opal Lee, for an entire week. We got her story every day. We videotaped it every day. So the story we're telling is 80 plus years of her life. His music, which is phenomenal. There are 25 songs in this musical. Music that y'all have not heard unless you've been on Pandora's platform, because the first song, and we'll even give you a tease of that during this opportunity for the fundraiser. But you have to know that we are all connected. All of this is happening because we have been in this industry, in this business, trying to tell these stories. And yes, it's not by accident that we're all together on this project. It is by divine order. And I have to tell you, that week that I was in Fort Worth, You know, for us who are spiritual people, there's a writing in the Bible that said wherever Christ went, that people would come if they heard he was coming to their town or village. They would just come by the thousands. And what they wanted to do is, in fact, we have gospel songs written about it. They just wanted to touch the hem of his garment. Everywhere we went with Opal, this 98-year-old woman at that time, because she just turned 99 October 7th, it was like that. People wanted to just come and hug her, touch her, thank her, take pictures with her. It didn't matter which color, black, white, Hispanic, Latinas, anybody, because she is an icon. And we must honor our icons. We must give praise to those who've laid the groundwork for us, because the Emancipation Proclamation was not just a moment, it was our Pentecost Sunday. And if you're a spiritually driven person, you will understand what I'm talking about. Because at 12:01 on 1863, January 1st was the first day of freedom for us. And we celebrate that. We used to every watch night service, for those who understand the spiritual zone we live in, watch night service was a celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation. We used to read it in every watch night service. We stopped. But that's how we kept our history alive. And it took 2.5 years to be liberated if you were in Texas. And some of them are still in slavery in Texas 2025 because they have not received the message that they're free. So we have an imperative, a moral imperative. And the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop has taken the time to give us the platform, so because they understand 50 years, you just don't get to be 50 years like the workshop without the support and sustainability of the people that you see in front of you right now, and a Garland Thompson Sr., a Garland Thompson Jr., a Kimberly Gunn, who are taking the time. That's why we are having this fundraising event. And your dollars and cents help us to continue this journey. You're registering to be there with us on Sunday, November 30th, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's free. Now, you can register right now. So don't hesitate. Pick up the phone. Do it on your phone. Register right now, and you will get a response instantly from us telling you you've registered. They will remind you the week of, they'll remind you the day of, because we are setting something and doing something so important that we're talking about the movement. The civil rights movement is alive. 2 Saturdays ago, 7 million people participated in this country in civil disobedience, and they now understand the power of what the civil rights movement was all about. That's what we're doing. And every time we're up here, we're going to keep reminding you of it. You want your freedom? Are you ready? And I'm asking you right now, out there in the audience, are you ready? And what are you ready for? And there's only one answer. I am ready for freedom. And when are you going to get your freedom? Right now. Go to @thefsww.org and register to get your free seat. This is a Black Friday gift. You know what? You know what Black Friday is and Thanksgiving? It's the day after Thanksgiving. We got Black Friday. We got Small Business Saturday. You got a reading on that Sunday. You got Cyber Monday. And guess what that Tuesday is? Giving Tuesday. So don't wait to give to Tuesday. Make your pledge right now so that we can continue this journey. Come along with us. It's all about freedom, folks. And nobody else is giving you this. Target, Walgreens, Walmart, Macy's, all of them got Black Friday projects out there right now. We just got through Halloween. It ain't even Thanksgiving yet. They got the Christmas stuff up. Yeah, I know y'all waiting for Santa Claus, but he ain't coming, y'all. Okay, not like this. We're coming, and we ain't going back. We are not going back. So come forward with us. It's all about our freedom, and you can have fun being free. That's the other part. So thank you, Kimberly. Thank you. There it is. It's up on the board. The FSW. Make your pledge right now. It won't hurt. And as Reverend Ike used to say, don't give us that loud money. That's clinks. That way is not. Give us that soft money. You know, them Georges, them Lincolns, those grants. It won't hurt you. But your freedom, if you ain't got your freedom, I'm telling you, you're going to want to know. So thank you for making that pledge right now. Thank you for listening to our stories. We got more stories to tell you folks, and you're going to enjoy this fundraising opportunity. And at some point, as we move along, because we're here till 6 o'clock, but we're going to show you a little taste of who's going to be in the reading. Oh, I'm going to give you a hint. Adrienne Carlotta is in the reading. She's going to play Opal's mother. John Hayden is in the reading. He's playing President Joe Biden and a couple other white guys, you know.
And that's a great, we'll call this like a seven inning stretch. We really appreciate everyone being here for We Are FSWW, hearing more about our past, our collective future, and our wonderful guests. I really appreciate everyone being here. We know you could be doing something else, but we appreciate your support. And like Byron said, go ahead. You can go to the fsww.org. You can also make a donation there, or you can just use the link that I just put into the that I shared. I don't know if they accept Bitcoins, but they accept U.S. dollars is still a standard. And like Byron said, we like those those soft those soft sounding Bitcoin. Hey, we will accept everything, right? Really appreciate your support. It keeps us going. And while people are doing that, I do want to talk a little bit more to John and Adrian, because you've been in quite a number of our productions, Elders Igniting, and let's see, Sister Suffrages. You were both in that one, and Yazoo, Mississippi. So you have a history of working together, and you're going to be in Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. I would love for just to hear from both of you about your experiences virtually working in this space and how that has impacted your careers.
Okay, I'll go. It's given me an opportunity to work with great writers. We were talking about Eric's play and how his notes and things from the workshop helped form rewrites and whatnot. I've been, as an actor, giving notes and insights as to how my character might be a bigger or smaller or a more integral part of the plot line, not because I wanted a bigger part, but because I would help the writer with some acting anecdotes of the process, because I've been doing it for so many years. And it is not only, Frank Silvera was a great actor. It said so right there in that little clip. So it's not only a writer's workshop. I feel an actor's workshop as well, because we have a chance to bring these characters to light and give them their due, as it were. A character is not just it just doesn't hatch and grow by itself. It is a living amoebic type of inner working of not only the voice, the brain, the face, everything. It's all part and parcel of the character. If you were really doing the work and bringing a character to life, it requires this orchestra of director, writer, fellow actors giving you support and tagging it. But we have, in this medium, begun to work on directional acting, and it's an interesting little box that you can use. And Kimberly and Byron has been orchestrating that in such a way that we're really developing the chemistry with the other actors is palpable, even though we're not in the same room. Where we're getting that sense of pulling the characters together, even though we're clearly not in the same room, because we're in this box. But anyways, I could go on, but I'll let Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, John, I was hoping you would leave something for me, but I appreciate it. But I echo a lot everything that you said. But I look at it as a working actor. I feel like every opportunity allows me to grow and learn, and I've really grown and learned in this space. At first, I was telling myself, what is a director look like in a virtual platform? But being in the getting the opportunity to be in the readings that I have been, oh my goodness, I've received some great direction, from, honing my, and further strengthening my skills on comedic timing to using, to being able to be my usual fashionista self, not tonight, but it's okay. But, and also using the full ability in this little lovely square and reaching that full capacity to really bring the characters to life. And, and also breathing life into the characters, whether they have a lovely Southern accent or whatever it needs. So I had a great time just playing with a lot of different characters and feeling like I could breathe life into them and really working, being able to do so with original characters, right? It's exciting and it's scary at the same time because, when you do a lot of theater, sometimes it just gets, oh, you're doing that play again. And you get the ones that have been overly done, as I consider it. But these are new, right? So having the opportunity to really bring that to life, it has been amazing. And while at the same time having the direction and support from Byron, Kimberly, all of you all, to kind of grow and continue to grow as an actor, and working with some amazing actors like John, has been, fabulous. So that's what I'll, and then everything else John said as well.
Thank you so much. And just, from my perspective as the producer of the reading series, I really can't tell you enough how much I appreciate your timeliness, your professionalism, your ability to take the virtual space seriously. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a Zoom reading. It's like, no, we just don't do Zoom readings. And you always step up, you always show up, and you always look great and sound great. And we can't thank you enough for being able to, ride this wonderful journey with us. Much, much appreciated. I do want to just talk a little bit about, we're going to continue to talk about Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom, but I do want to talk a little bit about Elders Igniting, and I have a clip I'll show. But we did this, was it last year, April, Byron?
Yeah, we did, because I think it might have been March.
March.
It might have been, it was March, because we actually did it on the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. And Eric, this is why it's important for the next step that your play will be taking. When we did it at the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, at that time, Dr. Janice Lydell, who was the producer, and she is my lead writer on Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. She too was going through some personal issues that helped to heal her, because the International Black Theater Festival's MO now is it's on healing ground. It's a healing ground space. So it's sacred ground now. And that play literally helped to heal all of us, because 3 one-act plays, one that was written by Dr. Carlton and Barbara Millette, who were the former chairs of Spelman's drama department. They taught Sam and Latanya and Bill Nunn. They were their teachers, okay? They were running Spelman's drama department. And he wrote a piece that's a farce that's like, if you know French comedies and Italian comedies, Pirandello, and if you know theater, you understand that there's a technique to a farce. And it's really amazing, because that was the opening piece. And we produced all 3 in one reading, okay? And the second piece, Dying Well by Jamil El Sahir, was about caregiving, that last days of somebody's life, and how do we accept it. And of course, there's a story that went with it, which was very powerful. And these are all short plays. And then we finished with Dr. Lydell's piece, a Senior Prom. Now, Senior Prom, by a grandmother who didn't get a chance to go to her senior prom in 1963 because she was living in Birmingham, Alabama, which at that time, if you know, in May of 1963 was the Children's March that SCLC, which was that picture of spraying them with hoses, dogs biting kids who came out of school to protest, to march for voting rights, civil rights. That's what they did to those kids in 1963. I was 13 years old. And when I saw that on ABC, CBS, and NBC, because that's the only three channels we had back then, for 6 o'clock news, and when Walter Cronkite came on and showed us that, me seeing kids my age who left school dressed up to go protest, being treated like animals. That's a story that's got to be told. If we don't tell that story, you think you're going to get that from your current history? No way. That's why Frank Silvera Writers Workshop is important. And this was a comedy that Janice wrote. Dr. Lydell said she didn't know how to write a comedy. And she said she wasn't a producer. But I'm going to tell you something. Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, we did those three pieces. We had 200 people online watching it. And by the time we got to Atlanta for the live performance, we only booked it at the Arts Exchange in Atlanta. I'm going to give praise to Arts Exchange and Alice Lovelace and all the folks who have. You go to Atlanta, that's one of the places you need to put on your bucket list because it's in East Point and they do amazing work. And they could only see, this is a black box theater, capacity 100 people. We had 150 people for the opening, and each one of those three shows were sold out. We were booking it for 100. We used every seat in that Arts Exchange. They only had 150 chairs, Eric, which we took every chair out of every classroom that they had and put it in that theater. And it was sold out for those three performances. And on that Monday, after the close of that show, Eric, Dr. Lydell calls me up and says, Byron, you're not going to believe this. I just got through paying all the bills. And we still had the GoFundMe page bringing in money. How many shows can boast that their box office was completely sold out? That's why it's important to take it from the page, that reading, to the stage in May, to the box office, to the market, and then on Monday, calling me to tell me every bill was paid and there's still money coming in. That's what we can do, folks. This is about show business, not just the show, but about the business of show business, which is why we're doing this. So roll that tape, Janice, Kimberly, because after that, you're going to see, and I'll tell you, the other important part of what we're doing is that right now, you're registering for either the fundraising, but register to be a part of it, because we're already up over 100 people, and we got 28 more days to go. Roll that tape.
Okay, so this is highlights from two of the 3-act plays, and they'll speak for themselves.
What we expect from the car is jollies. Jollies like we haven't had before. Nookie. We plan to use the car for nookie.
Maybe the word I thought I heard was not what she actually said.
I suspect you heard me right. You just think I should be more polite.
Oh, I try not to be a prude, and I am never intentionally rude.
Knocking boots, all right? We have been married for 40 years.
42 to be precise.
Now just the two of us in this big old house. We have empty nest syndrome.
I get it. I don't want to hear any more explanations. After I finish the restoration, whatever happens in that car is none of my business.
Satisfaction in the car. He thought the car would solve the problem.
At least I hoped it would.
He bought the car, and then he brought it home, and we tried it out that night. And it worked. I mean, even though the car still had the seat covers we bought at Sears after the kids messed up the upholstery. Speaking of which, How about some plush velvet upholstery?
Oh, turquoise would be nice.
Turquoise is his favorite color.
When I come back, I'll bring fabric samples.
Only rich people are eccentric. Okay. What about odd, strange, unconventional?
Pinky. People our age out there with those teenagers, I call them kinky. Best bouncy bounce since before the first baby.
Yeah. And after the first baby, you never wanted to.
Never? Oh, so how did I get pregnant 2 more times?
What about all the times you said you were not in the mood? I'm like, that old car worked out fine, satisfaction-wise.
But we never went back out to the place where we were the first time that we...
It was creepy out there. Teenagers everywhere. It's better than a radio. It's a computer. All your favorite songs are going to be preloaded in the memory.
Can it make those crackling sounds like the radio used to? You put in the effort to find the car. So the guy that rocked my world 45 years ago is able to rock my world again. I mean, what are you trying to say?
I'll back the Buick out of the driveway. You pull the new car out of the driveway. After, I'll put the Buick in the garage and you can put the...
Now? I mean, in broad daylight? Why don't we wait until tonight?
I don't think the car will object if we decide to use it twice.
Randy, we saw the invitation to the Atlanta Senior Prom. Are you going?
Actually, I saw it, but who needs the credit?
Ife, you've been rambling through my stuff again. Don't you believe in boundaries at all? Just stay out of my things, please.
He didn't mean it like that. Maybe I need to go finish getting ready for my date. We just wanted to encourage you to get out and put some spice in your life.
Do you know there are bunches of dating sites for differently able white people, and I haven't found a single one for us? Not a one. Oh, most of the white ones, they claim to be all inclusive and talk about catering to anybody interested. But I'm building a site for differently able Black folks because we need one that meets our needs.
That's my Akon, always thinking outside the box. And you probably onto something real important, and that's needed.
Folks, Elders Igniting.
Wow.
Many more stories to tell. It's
And-
an adult shows. But it touches on important topics that many people are experiencing, right?
Yes, indeed.
I don't know if anybody wants to make any comments about that, John or Adrian or Byron.
Well, everybody needs a new car.
I do want to say, and having been in several, having the opportunity to be in several Dr. Lytell's works, she really does a great job and did so in that piece as well. She really does a great job interweaving kind of like historical moments. So that was a clip that was very much fun, but at the same time, that particular play also had these beautifully interwoven historical moments and remembering historical experiences. So a lot of the work she does really does that nicely, and which is why Opal Lee's story is going to be so exciting as well. And reading it has been exciting, but I just wanted to put that out there because she did it through that work, obviously Ptomaine Poison, and I don't know that many can really appreciate it like I do, seeing that history kind of underlaying underneath, where everybody can learn and grow from. So yeah, I just want to say that.
That part was putting together 3 one-act plays for not just a reading, because that was the first time the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop had done 3 readings in one setting, Eric. And that became something critical as an advancement of our art form. And what Kimberly and Garland were able to do to showcase that for me, sometimes a table read is so boring. even as a director. I mean, I enjoy it because it's part of our process, but I want it to be entertaining. I want to, when you come to the workshops reading series, I want you to be entertained with what you see. I want you to see around them that the actor is not just portraying a role in front of a blank palette. There's part, because being in the theater is three-dimensional, sometimes four-dimensional, as they say, breaking the fourth wall, that wall in front of you, because you want your audience to be a part of it. It's an experiential moment so that when they come to see your reading or come to see your show, you hope that they can see in their own mind's eye the vision that you're seeing. Because this gives the writer what Eric is more important for him is as a writer for his piece is to see the actors in front of him, hearing the voices that have been in his head for years and giving them life so that when they come to the stage and you see the actors in their performance mode, they're not just reading, they're acting on stage for you. They want to give you, as I tell them, play to the camera, make love to the camera. This is your reel. This is your audition reel. Very few theaters now, all across the country, will sit you in a cattle call and see you do a audition. They'll tell you, send in your reel. And look what each one of these actors could make reels out of what they've done to showcase their talents, the diversity. They can show you they can be more than just a pretty face. And so if they can do that in this platform, which is what the workshop has been perfecting over the last 4 years, and it's now to the point where when we did Social Insecurity, a play written by Coney Kepfinger, we produced the production. It wasn't a reading. The Rogue Theater Festival had 18 digital performances, 5 live performances, and 4 readings in 2 weeks in New York City for the Rogue Theater Festival 2025. We even had a billboard on Times Square for a full 24 hours. In every rotation, at every hour, we had a live commercial promoting our productions. That's incredible. And they extended it a week because it was so popular. And now we have just got through finishing creating a sizzle reel for that, for which Walter was the music, John was in it, and we're taking it from the page to the stage to the market so that we can get it sold, so we can put our actors back up on its feet, either at a theater or, yes, our target market, Atlanta, Georgia. We're coming to you because you are right now the entertainment capital of our country, because the fires in LA damn near shut down our industry completely. Everybody wants to get to Atlanta. Well, guess who's in Atlanta? Adrian, John, Walter. Okay, everybody wants to be there, but we got the, as they say, we got the sauce, y'all. Arby's may have the meat, but we got the sauce. Okay, so you need to understand that. Come on, register, see what Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom is really going to be like, because at this point, guess what? I'm showing you right here. Thank you, Kimberly, for giving me the opportunity to let you see my cast. Look at this. You see Adrian's picture there? This is who the readers are for this November 30th reading that we are having. And yes, those QR codes, you see that QR code right there? It says scan QR code to register for reading. So not only can you go to thefsw.org to register for your seat right now, don't wait, don't delay, because we are planning to have over 500 people. And if we get over there, we're going to do it as a live YouTube. Now, that's part of that. And then here's my corporate, my sponsors and my executive producer and his team out of Fort Worth scan the QR code to donate to them, because they're doing the same thing. They're fundraising. This is the time, folks, between now and the first of the year. Get out you need your tax-deductible donation. You can do it right here. Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. You can do it right here to help GoFundMe for Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. And then here's my stars. You see this lady right here? This is Gail Turner. Gail Turner is playing the adult Opal, Dr. Opal Lee. Now, who is Gail Turner? Gail Turner was Stephanie Mills' understudy in the original production of The Wiz. So we got a Broadway actress. She's with this project. And you can see her. Okay? Come. I'm telling you, everyone on this page, John Hayden, y'all just seen him live. He's a star. Adrian, my God. Best supporting role, best leading role for this year's 2025 Zoomie has to be Adrienne Carlotta. Okay? And then here's
most definitely.
Most definitely, absolutely. And you just got to see Donald Henson. Now, Donald Henson, the first time I met Donald Henson, I didn't even know him. We went to the same church in Brooklyn, which is CCC, Christian Cultural Center, Pastor A.R. Bernard, and he is a member of their performing arts ministry, which is led by Elder Pointer, who was Noel Pointer's brother. Okay, Joyce Sylvester, who is part of the directing team, and Ben Harney, who was in the original production of Dreamgirls. Okay, so the church performances at CCC as Performing Arts Ministry are better than some of the shows I've seen on Broadway. They got 40,000 church members in Brooklyn. This young man right here, Dr. Donald S. Henson, moved from New York with his family to Atlanta. He's in Atlanta, Georgia, too. Then we got Ella Simone Taboo. Y'all saw her in Ptomaine Poison. And she was the little sister, the little daughter to Adrian, her mom, and telling the story about Ptomaine Poison, which is hatred, and telling the story about Birmingham, Alabama. Amazing story that Dr. Janice Lydell wrote. And then, and as a Michelle Quintero, she lives in New York. She's an amazing actress and then this star right here, that's for the star yet to be known. So I'm looking for a Latino male actor who can sing. Hopefully, I'd love to have a tenor, but I need an actor from 30 to 20, 35 to 45, and to portray my last call. So if you want to be in this production, send your resume and bio to Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. You'll get noticed because we're actually getting ready for the 2026 International Black Theater Festival. So you want to be in our register of actors who are available to come to at Winston-Salem and participate in what's going to be one of the biggest festivals around. So you need to send your material right now to the Frank Silvera's Writers Workshop. Yes, the FSWW.org. Get on our list right now because we're looking for plays, actors to be a part of that, as well as Tony Henson, who is the executive director for the Atlanta Black Theater Festival. So send your bios and resume to us. We're working hard, y'all, to make all of this possible. And I cannot forget my last actress down here, Kay Marion. Now, this happened about a month and a half ago. I went to an event here, Winston-Salem, that was being held at one of our artistic schools, because Winston-Salem is a big arts community. This is like a house, a combine for artists. And I heard this voice singing an opera aria as just an introduction of one of the artists that were participating. And I was like, where's this voice coming from? And then I heard her sing this opera because I love opera. And then she started doing a pop routine. I said, wait a minute, you go from an aria and opera to a pop routine? Honey, you got something going on. And I said, can I talk to you after you do this? And it's because that was my find. As a director, and Eric, you'll appreciate this, we are always looking for that magic moment. We are always looking for that one talent that'll give us that kick, okay? Always keep your eyes open because it is the chemistry of putting together this kind of a cast that the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop has come to be known to do with expertise. And now that we've got Zoomcatchers and the workshop, I guarantee you have never seen anything like what we've been doing. And it is the new way to do our work as artists, from the page to the stage to the market. So don't be shy.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you.
it.
Thank you so much, Byron, for that. And thank you everyone who is here. And I really appreciate our panelists being here. Do want to just make some comments about Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. I remember saying to Byron, it was some point last year, Byron, I said, no, I said to Garland, I said, I want to produce a musical. Of course, he looks at me like, what are you talking about? And so I think you were writing the play. I didn't necessarily know
Yeah,
about it, Byron, but
right.
it kind of
Yeah.
came together. And
Yes.
then you let me know that you were working on this play with Dr. Lydell. And at some
Yes.
point, I called you up. I said, how's that musical coming, Byron? Are you ready for audiences to see it? And so I love musicals. This will be our first musical. I'm really, really excited about it. And hats off to everyone here who's participating in the project. And Walter, I think Walter's still on. Walter, we
Yeah,
love
he's
the
there.
music. Walter,
Yes.
can you just tell us a little bit about your inspiration with the music as far as Queen Opal's is concerned?
Well, as far as the music is concerned, I'm trying to take a mixture of a lot of different genres to represent all the things that we contributed in music. So it's like a kind of like a tapestry of different influences in the Queen Opal's walk, including some classical music as well, so classical, jazz, blues, gospel. So a mixture of all of those things for the Opal Loop, project, because this story covers a lot of years, and so I think that it's important to do that. And the fact of the matter is that when you think about historically, for a long time, people didn't think that we did certain types of music or were capable of it. They kind of spread that. And so I think it's important to have that whole thing happen. You have all those different kinds of influences, because we have influenced every kind of music that you can imagine, as far as the whole musical genre. And some of the newspapers back in the time, the 1700s and so forth, they talked about certain black composers that we passed off as white. And they said the reason that some of them were crazy because their mother was black. And so, and all of that has been like distorted history. And so I just think it's important to have all of those types of different influences in the music because of what it is. It's always a lot of fun for me to be able to reach in all those different genres of music and put them out there like that, because just as important.
Now, Walter, you're introducing a brand new musical instrument in this Broadway musical operetta. Tell us about that particular instrument. Folks, this is genius at work. Tell us what it is.
Okay, well, one of my friends from Guyana, I met him through another friend at a party. And when I got there, he had taken cans and they were tuned and set up like a vibraphone. And they were perfectly in tune to A440, which is the tuning that all orchestras and everything use. And so he had an instrument that has a 3-octave range. And so it has a sound between a steel pan and a vibraphone. And so this is a brand new instrument in the world, actually. And so a few years ago, when I left Atlanta to go to Texas, we did a concert where we had a youth orchestra, and we had a whole section of that instrument. They're called the vibracans. And so in this Queen Opal walk, I am including that in the orchestration.
The Vibracan, folks, You know how a steel drum gives you that sound. It's that calypso. It's that link. It's that link to the Caribbean sound. Well, a Vibracan is a much smaller concept, but it takes soup cans, juice cans, and tells you because in our African American culture, music and art are critical parts of who we are, and that anybody, every child that's in right now is gifted. There's a blessing that we have to create sound, create music. That's it. Hip hop music, rap, all those sounds. Even when you go to theater and you think about the spoken word artist, you think about Intozaki and her work as a choreo poem. It's music. And so Walter and the gentleman who created the Vibracan is about to expand to the educational industry in Atlanta, Georgia, where they can, especially at Apex Museum, I'm on the board of director of the Apex History Museum, where we're going to introduce two young people that environmentally don't throw that soup can away. Bring it and we'll show you how to make a musical instrument out of it. And because this is a unique moment, we're not just talking about the traditional Broadway musical. This is bigger than that. We're not talking about just an operetta. Yes, it's more than just a musical. We're talking about the bigness of a stage filled with 20 people, 12, 12 artists, 12 actors, 8 singer dancers. That's 20 on stage, 15 musical instruments in the orchestra pit, 4 singers in the pit who are my Greek chorus, and this Vibracan music, which between scenes, because we in blackouts, you either have a blackout or you can have a visual, what we call a vista, where you see the scene change happening and the story being moved forward so that you go to your program. Oh, it's going to be act 1, scene 2, act 1, scene 3. Oh, no, no, no. My orchestra pit is going to sing you the transition. We got 80 years of a woman's life we have to create. And the Vibracan, my Greek singers will be part of the musical itself. So Walter has convinced me. Walter sent me about 50 songs out of his catalog. It's enormous. And I had to pick 25. That's what we have thus far. And you will get a chance to hear the music. We won't be singing it on the 30th, but you'll hear the music underscoring because what we do at the workshop for a reading like this is to focus on the dialogue, focus on the lyrics, because out of this, we want to make sure the story is solidly written and that the music that you will hear, and they will speak the lyrics, but they will dramatically be presenting the lyrics, but you'll get a chance to hear all of it. And then you'll have a Q&A session afterwards, which will allow you to tell us what you saw, what you heard. Did you like it? You know, we're not here to constructively break down anything. We're here to constructively build upon it. And you're going to be witness to the birth of a brand new Broadway tradition. Okay? That's what we're doing on the 30th. And so that's why we're doing our fundraiser, because the 50th anniversary of the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop is honoring a process. Okay? This is part of a movement, y'all. This is part of the civil rights movement, telling our civil rights stories and giving us all an opportunity to know it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's a human being thing. Okay? That's what we're doing. That's who we are and why we need your support. And we thank you so very much for this. Is like kicking it off, and we got how many more events do we have over the next 28 days, Kimberly?
We have 2 for November, and we may have some for December. So I'm working on that. This has been a great way to spend my Sunday, and I really appreciate everyone being here. If anyone that's here wants to make any comments, you have any questions for us, we're definitely open to that. We're going to be winding down soon, so we can get back to the rest of our Sunday. I did want to just put out to the panel. Eric, did you have any additional comments you want to make, Eric, John, or Adrian? If not, that's okay.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, because it was like for me a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to work with Mr. Garland and Miss Kim, and they helped me so much with what I was working on in the project. You know, they held my hand, they pushed me, they chastised me, but I enjoyed every moment of it, and I thank you so much for that.
Thank you. And Eric's play is being written in January. So you're getting like a teaser right now for his work in January, which we haven't identified the Sunday date, but it'll be a Sunday, just like ours is here, because we're getting ready, like I said, for 2026. It's here.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and,
And
and
we
this is
and
yes.
and just to let you know, Eric was that A student, that gold star student. He definitely was that person, and we really appreciated you participating. You were very open and you were willing, and you took the information, and it shows. So we're excited about that. And then Adrian or John, any final thoughts? What are you looking for as far as your roles in Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom?
I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing everyone on, right? Those 500 plus, not only as an actress, but as a supporter of this wonderful work. I mean, you guys, it's going to be amazing. It is amazing. As a Black actress, I can tell you just being able to be a part of this has been very exciting. And I just want to say thank you for that. And then for those who are tuning in, just know that you're going to see a wonderful piece of that shows perseverance through adversity, that shows the strength of one woman's life and her family, and the strength of them as a collective, and it's going to be great. So we hope to see you all there.
And then there's some folks in Fort
John?
Worth. I gotta. Oh, go ahead, John. Go ahead. You tell. Yes, please.
I play 8 different characters in this piece, and I'm going to try to differentiate voices and style and all of that. And for Eric, if you haven't written a good old Caucasian role in your play, put one in there for me, will you?
Oh, John, was that U.S. Kentucky Fried Colonel in your
27 special herbs and spices?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a secret recipe, only I know.
And I know.
And
go ahead, Eric.
Yes.
I said, I got you, John. I'll keep you in mind.
All right, brother.
And I know I was going to say, I know, Byron, we're doing some shout outs. I really do want to acknowledge Garland Thompson Jr., who could not make it today. He's at another event, but he'll be here for the next fundraisers. Under his leadership, the workshop has really expanded. We're global. We're doing, let me show some of our titles, some of our additional titles.
Yes, please.
See, please. And then we'll do some shout outs to other folks. Let's see. We had the Miseducation of the Young Miss Cassie Jones. We did that one last year. Bars or How Hip Hop Saved My Life. That was a great one as well. Yes. And like we mentioned, Ptomaine Poison.
Right.
And Impossible Theories of Us, which was like an AI kind of story. A CPR written by Rhonda Passion Handsome, who's also directed with us. And Sister Suffragists.
Yes.
We worked with Sheila on this play extensively. And let's see what else is. I think that might be it for that. So Byron, any final shout outs and information? Take it away.
Absolutely. I got to do a shout out to the folks and my executive producers and producer family that are in Fort Worth and Atlanta and around the country. We're talking about John Gales Jr. He's my executive producer. He'll be on to one of these, 2 more. He'll be on to talk about his relationship and work. We got Marion Eastman. Now, who is Marion Eastman? Marion Eastman was one of the co-founders. Her and her husband founded Jubilee Theater in Fort Worth, Texas, one of our honored Black theater companies, still in performance. Just got through doing a play that the workshop did last year at the festival with Rhonda Passion, the Moms Mabley piece, and we kicked off the festival last year with it was free, but the room was packed at the Marriott, at the Bethabara room, Eric, one of the coldest rooms at the Marriott Marquis. A midnight reading. We had to turn people away. There were so many people in that room that night. And she's one of our producers, Ivan Seamus. Ivan Seamus is on the board of directors at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. Remember I told you, Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom will preview in Fort Worth, but the idea is to have the world premiere at the Fox Theater in 2026. So stand by. Thank you, Ivan. Daniel Vargas, brilliant marketing man in Atlanta, Georgia. He is award-winning marketing designer, concept man, and a lot of connections will help us get funding because this is, let's just tell you, Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom, just to put it up on his feet in Fort Worth, is about a $350,000, $500,000 project. To get it to New York right now, if you want to go to Broadway, don't come to Broadway unless you got $16 million. So we're not trying to bum rush our way to Broadway. We're going to take this play, open it in Fort Worth, tour all the HBCUs, gathering investors and patrons along the way. So by the time we get to New York, bam, we're an instant hit. Okay? Tyler Perry showed us all how to do this. So y'all better respect what's going on in Atlanta. Then we got Adam Dietrich and Elliot, Emmy Award winning, who are part team that are part of our production team. Neil Hamilton, Painter, Michelle Green Ford. She's the executive director of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Fort Worth, Texas. That's on my team. So we're talking about, I got 20 other people, but I want to just say thank you to Dion Sims, the granddaughter of Queen Opal herself, and then of course, Dr. Opal Lee also. So I could go on, but we only got about 7 more minutes, but I'd really like to thank the folks in Fort Worth and my co-writer, Dr. Janice Lydell. We're sending you good love and good health, Janice. You got a cold. We can beat this cold. And then, of course, with Walter and John and Adrian and Donald and Gail and Ella and Michelle, and I hope I didn't miss anybody, but yes, we still got the reading coming forth. And thank you, Kimberly and Garland, because you guys, without you, we have been able to, I don't know how we could do this, but you know right now, folks, and the critical message for today is understand this. We all know what's going on in our country. We're under attack. All I ask that you do is put your God armor on. This is about our freedom. We don't do art for art's sake. That's a luxury. We're doing art for survival. And with these stories, we're telling you how to survive. You can beat this. You don't need a weapon of mass destruction. All you need is your God-given gifts and talents. We're blessed. As they say, many are called, but few are chosen. And if you've been anointed to have this gift, use it for humanity's progress. And I'll leave you with this. There are 6 core principles of a good leader. Garland is a good leader. Kimberly is a good leader. Eric is a good leader. John Hayden is a good leader. Adrian is a good leader. Those 6 core principles, and guess what? Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, heal the sick, give hope to the hopeless, and protect the environment that we're in. And if your leader can't do those 6 core things first, don't follow them, because they're going to lead you to destruction and you will never see the light of freedom. They're pimps, they're grifters, and they have nothing in common with a leader who is here to service humanity. Start with that first, and then come back and tell your story so we can put it on the Frank Silvera Writers Workshops network and showcase how we did this, how we survived, and how art is, as they say, the music will calm the beast in any man. It's about communion and fellowship. Thank you, Kimberly.
And Byron, I'm just going to add one more, a 7th. A good leader will come and see a Frank Silvera Writers Workshop play reading.
There you
okay?
go. There
You're going
you
to come November 30th, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That this is going to be the premiere of the Queen Opal's Walk for Freedom. We are very, very excited about it. I really appreciate everybody being on here today, and for the folks that hung out with us, please tell your friends. Like Byron said, we're always looking for great plays. We're always looking for directors. We're always looking for great actors and great stories, and your support. You can come and be a part of this opportunity to give feedback for the play and for the script, help it get better. And we hope to see you Sunday, November 30th at this same time, right?
That's right.
Awesome.
Same bad time, same bad channel.
Same bad
Kimberly,
channel.
I got to go to the tote board. Thank you all for making those pledges today. And how many people do we have registered to sign up already?
It's over 100, 110 and some change.
Ooh, see that? That's what I'm talking about. Y'all don't be shy. Come on. We got you. Thank you.
Awesome. And we will see you next time, everyone. Thank you.
High out in the room.